Okay, so this is really what I wanna talk about, and it's very frustrating because like usually I'd put these kinds of videos on my second channel. I accidentally got 2 strikes on my second channel because I would find interesting videos for the Wingnut Roundup, and I stick them onto the from like other sources, Instagram and things like that. And I stick them on the second channel unlisted, and 2 of them triggered like the misinformation. So I got 2 strikes for misinformation. I know it's ironic. So I can't just put like my politics and stuff onto my second channel, but this is important. And this is something that's been driving me crazy. And I apologize because I've got like all this clutter from camping back behind me. It's just been a crazy month. DeSantis signs into law restrictions on trans Floridians' access to treatments and bathrooms. This is getting insane. It's getting insane. I mean, it's already been bad enough, but it's something that has to be talked about, and we have to address it with a lot of bravery because this is just it's another step ladder towards things getting even worse. And people, they've been saying, "Oh, you're just being hyperbolic. You're just being hyperbolic." The problem with that is that a lot of these people who've been saying you're just being hyperbolic were saying that 2 years ago when this really started ramping up. And then when bills were signed, and there's been hundreds of bills proposed, and a lot of them passed, specifically targeting gay people, trans people, etc., etc. And all of this is based on a very specific thing. So 2 years ago, people were like, you're being hyperbolic. It's not going to get worse. And 6 months later, things are worse. And they're like, no, it's not going to get any worse. Well, 6 months after that, no, it's not going to get any worse. And you know what? It keeps getting worse. It keeps getting worse. So if somebody in your life is like, you need to just calm down. It's really not that bad. These things aren't actually under threat. Tell them to shut up. Shut up. Because they're wrong. Because it keeps happening. There's a reason why the basis for the United States is that we do have some federal restrictions, and those are to protect people's rights so that we all can get treated the same. I understand the argument that we have to have states' rights, self-determination for each state, etc., etc., etc. When it comes to making sure that people have unilateral rights, that is when the federal government has to come in and make decisions. And so far, nobody's doing that. And states like Florida are going absolutely apeshit. Okay? So let's look at this. Let's take a look at this because it's hideous. It's ghoulish. It's inhuman. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Wednesday signed into law new restrictions on gender-affirming treatments for minors, drag shows, bathroom usage, and which pronouns can be used in school, the latest front in the Republican leaders' ongoing cultural battles. Now, and with this is also, there's a really important part in the cultural battles. We'll talk about that in a second. Package of legislation was a priority for DeSantis, of course it was, who has already elevated these efforts in political speeches across the country as he marches towards an expected presidential campaign in the coming days. We're going to remain a refuge of sanity and citadel of normalcy, and kids should have an upbringing that reflects that. What this does is it further stigmatizes people. Now, we can look at each one. Gender-affirming treatments for minors. What do they say when they talk about this? They don't say, like, hey, if a kid is dealing with dysphoria, that we need to make sure that they are being supported in ways that are accepted by the mainstream of biomedical science and psychology. They just can't have anything. And children who are suffering from gender dysphoria are at an incredibly high risk of suicide. So this is a pro-dead kid platform. You're being hyperbolic, Jeff. No, I am not. No, I am not. A party that touts itself as pro-life only care until that child takes its first breath. Then they don't want them to have health care, they don't want them to have food, and they don't want them to have any care that will keep them alive. They want them compliant, they want them instilled with their values, and then eventually part of some fucking machine. But that is what it is. They do not care about kids. Because also, the rhetoric about groomers, well, maybe if they started looking in their churches and their police departments, that overwhelmingly have child predators compared to, I don't know, all the people that they're trying to target that are not part of that large demographic? Maybe. They don't care. Targeting drag shows. You're going to legalize drag shows. Self-expression is no longer just a simple matter of what people want to do. No, it has to be controlled by the state. The party of free speech, right? Bathroom usage. What a non-issue. What an absolute non-issue. It's never been a huge issue, and it never will. And which pronouns can be used in school. What is wrong with these people? Why is this something that they have to focus on so much? I mentioned this before. There was a bill passed in Utah to ban trans kids in schools. Okay? Trans kids sports in schools. They cannot play in sports. It did not pass. And then they pushed it further, and it did not pass. And then they pushed it further, and it barely squeaked by, and it passed, costing taxpayers millions of dollars to go through this whole thing. You know how many trans kids there were in sports in Utah? 1. Do you know how many actual out trans kids there were in Utah? 3. Millions of taxpayer dollars. Because those 3 children are such a threat. And this is where we are. Wasting your money, our time, feeding poison into our minds and into our families' minds to make us hate a group of people that have no effect on our lives at all and just want to live. So why is this piece of shit doing it? Why? Same reason I do any of this culture war crap. The same reason any of the fucking YouTubers out there that constantly push this shit in your mind do it. Because it will get your attention. Cultural battles. Ron DeSantis' ongoing cultural battles. He preys on people's fear. He preys on people's hate. Same thing any of those other goddamn YouTubers out there do. Same thing. Over and over and over. They give you something that you don't understand. They make it poisonous. They make it that's the enemy. So that you can rally behind it and not pay attention to the fact that, I don't know, we spend over $800 billion a year for our military budget while we're getting ripped off by the people we're paying. You, the taxpayer, all of us. All that money, just gone, stolen. All of our money, tax money, stolen. We can't pay for kids having school lunches guaranteed. Maybe we shouldn't be giving money to Ukraine. Maybe we should audit our government spending. But are we paying attention to that? Huge amounts of waste that otherwise we could get that money and, I don't know, keep veterans from freezing to death in the streets? No, we don't pay attention to that. We're paying attention to trans people and drag queens because they're scary. The fuck is wrong with people? The sickness of America. This is disgusting. I shudder to think how worse it's going to get. And the truth is, the only people that can really make a goddamn difference in this right now, because we can't control DeSantis, only people in Florida can do that. The only thing we have control over is our families, which means if you see your family talking about this kind of shit, you need to talk to them. You need to help unpoison their minds. Because trans people aren't the problem. They're just like you and me. They're just trying to live their fucking lives. These people are the fucking problem. Okay? And all of this is done under the veneer of trying to be morally righteous and upright with their religion and their magical sky leopard. That's what all this is about. So they can maintain control and you never see all the things that they're actually doing wrong and fucking up our lives. Anyway, rant over.